Thanks, Victoria. Hello, everyone. I'm Miguel, your host for today's dialogues. Our first conversation is on transforming our food systems. We have two incredible guests to help us explore this topic. Carmen Torres from UNEP and Andrew Bovarnick from UNDP. Remember, as we go along, feel free to drop your questions in the chat, and I'll pass them along to our speakers. Carmen, let's start with you. What do we mean when we talk about transforming our food systems? And why is this such a critical issue for the world right now?
When we talk about transforming our food systems, we are referring to a fundamental change in the way we produce, distribute, and consume food. Essentially, we need to move away from our current linear models, which are often unsustainable, and adopt circular, nature-positive, and climate-resilient approaches. This transformation is crucial because our current food systems are major contributors to what we call the triple planetary crisis of climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. For instance, food systems account for over 30% of global greenhouse gas emissions, and they are also a leading cause of deforestation, habitat loss, and they generate substantial amount of waste and pollution. Our food systems have a deep impact on our health, our environment, and our economies. They affect everything from the availability and quality of food to the stability of our ecosystems and climate. At UNEP, we aim to support food systems that are sustainable, equitable, and resilient. Food systems that ensure healthy food for everyone while also protecting our ecosystems. By adopting what we call a nature-positive approach, we ensure that food systems contribute to biodiversity conservation, climate stability, and pollution reduction, fostering a healthy planet and healthy people.
Thanks, Carmen. This really sets the stage for why this transformation is so essential. I love how you highlight the deep connection between food systems and our broader environmental challenges. Andrew, let's hear from you. What is UNDP's role in transforming our food systems? And how does it fit into the bigger picture of sustainable development?
So UNDP, of course, is responsible for and central to the achievement of all the SDGs. And critical to achieving SDGs is the transformation of food systems. It is amazing how food systems are central to everything that we do in the world. Agriculture, fueling rural development, driving biodiversity loss, changing land use, contributing to climate change, and of course also with so many positives in terms of contributing to rural livelihoods and of course healthy diets. So UNDP, with all of its work across all of its areas, has always focused on food systems. It just hasn't been called that way. Our work on governance, on strengthening ministries, building capacity in countries, working on gender, working on climate, all include support to improving food systems, whether it is empowering female farmers, strengthening ministries of agriculture and environment to better cooperate, or working on reducing emissions from agriculture and food systems. It's prevalent across all of our work, and we have billions of dollars of technical assistance supporting countries all around the world to improve food systems. But, as we all know, the food systems, as the Secretary General of the UN says, are broken. Business as usual is not working. We have to find ways to radically evolve and transform our current food systems so that we produce food, eat food, in a manner that is fit for purpose for planet and people. And what this means is we really need to be clear about what are the key barriers and systemic areas of resistance for the change we are all trying to support. And this is where UNDP really comes in.
Andrew, it's fascinating to hear how central food systems are to so many development goals. Your point about needing to radically evolve our approach really highlights the scale of the challenge. Carmen, UNEP has been doing a lot of work on sustainable food systems. Could you share more about the key pathways to achieving a nature-positive food transformation?
To achieve a nature-positive food transformation, we need to focus on several key pathways. First, nature-positive and climate-resilient agriculture is crucial. This involves transitioning to farming practices that restore and regenerate ecosystems while enhancing climate resilience. For example, adopting agroecological methods and organic farming improves soil health and water retention and reduces reliance on synthetic fertilizers and pesticides. This not only cuts down on pollution, but also supports beneficial organisms like pollinators. Next, we should consider circular food systems, moving from a linear model of take, make, dispose to circular approaches help minimize waste and maximize resource efficiency. This involves improving waste management, promoting food recovery, and reusing byproducts. For instance, composting food waste returns valuable nutrients to the soil, reducing the need for chemical fertilizers. But this also requires collective efforts from food businesses, retailers, and consumers to prevent waste to begin with. Additionally, supporting local and diverse diets is important. Promoting diets that are diverse and locally sourced reduces reliance on monocultures and long-distance transportation. This can enhance food sovereignty and support also local economies while reducing the environmental impact associated with large-scale industrial agriculture and food processing. For instance, supporting urban and peri-urban agriculture can help by fostering local food production and increasing access to fresh produce. Finally, policy and governance play a key role. Strengthening policies and governance frameworks that support nature-positive food systems is essential. This includes enforcing regulations that protect natural habitats and incentivizing sustainable practices. Integrating food and environmental policy frameworks is crucial for enhancing synergies and also minimizing trade-offs. By focusing on these pathways, we aim to create food systems that not only meet human needs, but also positively impact the environment. At UNEP, we have a strategy called the One UNEP Sustainable Food System Strategy, which actually emphasizes these approaches, leveraging both international agreements and local actions to drive systemic change and enhance nature.
I love how you break that down, Carmen. It's exciting to think about how these nature-positive approaches can really shape our food systems. Andrew, what about the barriers? What are the biggest challenges to making this transformation happen?
We've identified a few key levers of change, areas that I call blind spots, areas that, in general, technical assistance projects do not really tend to look at, perhaps because they're too complicated, perhaps because we believe that they're out of our control, but I think are absolutely fundamental to help us dig deep and find ways to catalyze the structural changes we really need. And two that I really want to mention, one is culture, our mindsets, our personal values that we bring in our decision-making, or governments and policymakers bring in their decision-making, or farmers bring in their decision-making, agribusiness bring in their decision-making. When we are making investment policy, production decisions about the way we produce food, what are the values we are looking at? Are we driven by profit and extraction, or are we using values about harmony with nature, about empowering local farmers, about ensuring healthy diets? So much of the work that goes on and the systems in place are based upon previous mindsets which were all about maximizing production and trade, and it's time to change those mindsets. So that, for me, is a key lever, how we can possibly train, support, build awareness around changing mindsets and values. And another key one, I think, is how decisions really are made. And this is about the power and power dynamics that are going on all the time behind the scenes, and the power asymmetries that we see. Again, big business have so much more power in influencing decisions than smallholder farmers. How do we empower the voices of youth, of women, of smallholder farmers, of the planet in making decisions that are key for the future of our food systems. So again, power dynamics are areas that my team and UNDP were looking at, how we can bring more awareness about power and resistance to change to the work that everyone is valiantly doing to try to improve food systems. And maybe just a third one, of course, we're all very aware of it, and many people are working on it, but how do we enhance and support more effective collaboration and connection between all the important stakeholders in a food system? How do we build that trust between the farmers, the municipalities, the provincial governments, the ministries of environment, of agriculture, of infrastructure, of finance, with the agribusiness and all the way to the consumers? How can we help all of these stakeholders understand their needs and agendas and work together to really co-create solutions that work? So effective collaboration for me is a third lever that we really need to look at. And if we can take all of this and help connect the food systems to the important work going on around climate change, around biodiversity, we really have a chance to put healthy food systems on the agenda for a better future.
Andrew, those are such important points. It's eye-opening to hear about the role that cultural values and power dynamics play in this space. Now, let's look ahead. Carmen and Andrew, I'd love to hear from both of you. Where do you think food systems will be in 5 years? Carmen, let's start with you.
Over the next 5 years, only collaborative efforts can lead to substantial progress in transforming food systems. Enhanced policy implementation is an area where we can expect significant progress. We can anticipate increased adoption and enforcement of policies that support sustainable food systems. UNEP and partners are working to integrate environmental considerations into food systems governance and vice versa. For instance, we support the integration of environmental components in the country's national pathways for food systems transformation. And at the same time, we also support the integration of food elements in countries' environmental policies and initiatives, such as countries' NDCs, national determined contributions, and countries' NBSAs, national biodiversity strategies and action plans. Another key area is the accelerated adoption of sustainable practices. We can drive significant reductions in environmental impacts by focusing on major agribusinesses and high-impact value chains. This includes advancing circular food systems, preventing waste, and adopting sustainable procurement and regenerative practices. Strengthening partnerships with private sector, governments, and civil society to scale up successful models and drive collective action is crucial. We can also make notable strides in food waste reduction and circularity. Promoting circular economy approaches such as redistributing surplus food and promoting composting will help halve food waste and reduce pollution. Our strategies include engaging the retail and hospitality sectors, including food waste education in schools, and campaigning in key communication channels for increased awareness. Lastly, strengthened data and transparency will continue to play a crucial role. Improved data collection has already enhanced public awareness and transparency in food systems, and will continue to do so while also supporting better decision-making and accountability.
That sounds like a solid plan, Carmen. Now, Andrew, how about you? What do you hope we can accomplish in 5 years?
The years ahead will be difficult, and we'll have to see how quickly we can help accelerate change at the global level, at the country level, with regard to our thinking and action. And I think for me, what will be most important over these years to come is to put these levers of change more centrally in all of our thinking, planning, and collaboration. Because if we really address and consider and are able to tackle and work towards changing power dynamics, changing mindsets and values, we will be making a huge contribution and leap towards really transforming food systems. And this is what we need. We need to evolve over the next 5 years away from incremental change, from a project here or a project there that is making important impacts, but at a local level, to really getting a grip and getting a handle on these really important levers of change that I believe have been inadequately addressed up until now. So if in 5 years, we're all talking about power and talking about mindsets and really figuring out how to incorporate them into support, into interventions, into policy making, and into our food system, we will be well on our way to making the changes we need for this planet and people in years to come.
I really appreciate those insights, Andrew. It's clear that if we address these foundational issues, we'll see a much bigger impact. Thank you both, Carmen and Andrew, for sharing your thoughts today. And to our audience, thank you for being part of this important dialogue. Keep those questions coming. And now, back to you, Victoria.